And it says we're live. Let's look for the lag. Sorry if I'm a bit croaky today, folks.
You're up.
Oh, there we go. And we're live with about 15-20 seconds lag. All right then. Good evening, people. Welcome back to Grumpy Old Git in the Corner, plus Mrs. W as always on a Wednesday. Yeah, I've got a bit of a heavy chest at the moment, and it's obviously down to this bloody thing, but hey, it is what it is. How many we got in here? 9 at the moment. Good evening, all. How are we? Everybody enjoyed the bank holiday?
Cheers, Louise.
Good evening, Marine. Steve, good evening, matey. Hope you're well. Well, wasn't exciting, all the shit going on over VE Day. Especially with that idiot Comrade Starmer trying to make himself look like a patriot, and all he did succeed was making himself look a complete dick as usual. But there you go, we're getting used to that now, aren't we?
Stop calling him that. At least dicks are useful.
Eh?
Stop calling him that. At least dicks are useful.
Yeah, there is that. Moo, good evening, buddy. But and he proved how much of a evening Stitch, how much of a dick he is today at P&Q's. I mean, there was only one bit stood out, and that was Timmy Badenoch asking him, which many are asking him for, to do a U-turn on the pensioners' winter payments. He was asked outright, is he going to reverse it? And he basically just went into one of his little speeches about the £22 billion missing in the black hole. Yeah, good evening, Stitch. Resist, by the way. I know he's in the background there. He did send an email earlier. I forgot I got my emails open on there. But yeah, he went into this spiel about the £22 billion black hole, allegedly, which we know ain't there. And how much they're investing in the NHS and investing in this, investing in the other. Yeah, not mention of the billions and billions he's fucking spunked on other countries while forsaking his own. But, you know, that's what he's like now. He will not answer questions. None of them will. They will not answer any question. Miliband was the same the other day. Rayner's the same. Cooper, well, she just turns herself off once she's had her little say. Reeves has been a bit quiet, although I dare say she's been beavering away, trying to find out how she can borrow more money. But it's got to the point with what Starmer said over the weekend that if you're not a Labour supporter, you're far right. Not just those that are leaning towards the right. Everybody is far right if they don't follow him. To the point where some people are saying that he may try and bring a law to ban far right as or right-leaning people as radicals. That way you can ban reform from the next election, couldn't he? If it's a banned group. But that's the problem now. If you don't follow him, you don't bow down to any of the minorities already, you're far right. You're a racist, you know. It's fucking ridiculous. Can we do him for hate speech? I wish we could, Jen. I wish we could. You know, he's got that many people in his pockets, you know, the judges, lawyers, and it's bloody obvious. You know, they keep on, they want to change the justice system to make it easier to get rid of foreign criminals more than anything. But there's that story yesterday with the migrant. A migrant attacked 2 police women and gave them quite a battering, apparently. He's well overboard, Stitch. Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute, Moo. Yeah, the 20-year-old migrant walked virtually free from the court after attacking 2 police officers and other people, apparently. And the judge's reason was that at 20 years old, his brain wasn't developed totally. No, most kids know right from wrong, and they know what attacking people is. But 20 and his brain isn't developed. This is coming from people that are quite happy to see foreigners marry 9-year-olds and abuse 9-year-olds and upwards. They get to 8, 10 years old. Apparently they're developed enough to choose their own gender. And he wants them to vote at 16-year-old. Yet a 20-year-old hasn't got a developed enough brain to be able to be deported or sent to prison. Something's seriously fucking wrong there. We know that from the top to the very bottom, I've lost a bit of paper somewhere, that he's corrupt. We absolutely know that. And this just proves how idiotic these judges are.
It proves Tom was only 19.
Well, yeah, it's...
Because his brain isn't developed enough.
What we got? I've got bloody things all over the place here. What's going on? Ah, yeah, that's part of that. Yeah. That's up there with we can't send the bloke back because he doesn't like their local chicken nuggets. Yeah, if you're not a Labour supporter, we're far right, I'm afraid. So that's what they label us. That's what we are, isn't it? They have a right to call us anything we want. Same as I have a right to call them the shit shower in the House of Power.
I'm glad you can get that out because I can't.
You can't?
I'd say it wrong somewhere.
No, I have to, I made more fucking notes than this. I know I did.
I know you did because you sat there writing them.
Yeah. So where are they all gone then? Oh well. But whether it's, what's that T-shirt say? It said, I can't go to hell, Jen, and then on the back it's got, because hell's got a restraining order on me. But yeah, regarding the migrants, it would seem, good evening, Karen. It would seem that Yvette Cooper is setting up a little unit. Well, I say little unit. 300 units. Well, they're going to be right units if they're working for the government. But it's all over clearing the backlog of asylum claims. Now they want 300 people, 30 grand a year. And quick maths puts that around 10 million a year for all of them, believe it or not.
Plus national insurance.
Well, yeah, plus national insurance and probably pension contributions. They said something about I think it was 20 25% pension contribution or something.
That's about right. Government.
What they're supposed to be doing is sitting down, going through all the asylum applications, vetting them, checking out information. Well, they know they got no information on them because they threw their papers over the side, and the French won't let them have access to any information on any of the things they know about them, including fingerprints. But how's this going to work? So, I mean, I'd quite happily do that job for nothing. You know, I'd just stamp denied on every fucking single one. There you go, job's done. You know, don't pay the other 200 odd that you're fucking employing. Just give it to me. I'll stamp them, you know. Fuck off. But who are the people he's going to hire for this? Or she's going to hire for this? Are they going to be the asylum seekers that have already been granted asylum so they can approve all their mates? Well, apparently on the adverts for the jobs, it does say they will be operating the DEI protocol on applicants, which we all know is code for fuck off if you're a white person. So, yeah, I can see that going real well. Yeah, they'll have them in there approving them left, right and centre. Good evening, Adrian.
Good evening, Adrian.
And that's just another one of their harebrained ideas. Well, I suppose the big talk of the day is the Indian deal, isn't it? Just done a trade deal with someone who's just going into another war. But is it a deal? I don't believe so. You know, it's if it is a deal, it's not a good one. I mean, yeah, India produces very, very cheap steel. And they got a very big industry there of cutting up boats and resmelting the steel. But as we've always said, bringing stuff in from other countries has got to come from somewhere. So send it halfway around the world. Because the way it's going, they won't be able to get up the Suez much longer if the war carries on over that way. What else has India got to offer? They import coal from Russia, so they haven't got much coal. Yeah, they probably got a few gold mines and shit like that going on. But as I said in the video today, I wouldn't want to live there. It's a fucking shithole. But he's going to allow, he didn't put a number on it, of people under this agreement to come from India to work in this country. People are saying for no, they won't have to pay NI, the national insurance. Other sources are saying they'll pay a minimum. And the employer won't have to pay. So I typed for the first time. Nice one, Stitch. Yeah, be cheap personnel, wouldn't it? And of course they'll get rid of English people. You're too expensive. Fuck off. We'll have one of them in. Yes, we can send people can go to India and work, but would you really want to? You know, the only jobs there that normal people do seem to be rooting through the litter tips, the rubbish dumps, which are absolutely huge, and scratching a living on that. You know, and these people coming over, we've already got a housing crisis. What are they going to put in? They carry all manner of diseases that most third world countries are rife with that we don't usually get here, or very, very rarely. You know, where does it end? The people have spoken. We're fed up. We're full. We can't afford what we've got already. And you want to bring more over, put more British people out of work, put more British people out of their homes. The guy is an absolute dick. He really is. But he's now facing quite an uphill battle because a lot of Labour mods have turned against him. You know, the knives are out. And I hope there's plenty of them, to be honest, because he needs to be gone now. But that's all I've got in the way of notes tonight, guys. I mean, I haven't been as active as I normally am, as you can tell by the lack of videos.
He was playing bike mechanic.
Well, yeah, I'd spark his bike to do. If you notice, it's gone in the background. There is another one arriving at some point, which he wants me to look at. But he's a very good friend of ours. He's more Heather's friend. I met him through
I've known him since I was 18.
There you go. She knew him when she was a teenager. And he's always been good to her. He's a mechanic. He's always looked after her cars and that for her. And as I said, he's always been good to me. I did used to go over and do a bit of work in the workshop with him at one point when I could. But he's always coming round. He cuts the lawn for us because I can't do it now. And he's been a good friend. So tinkering with a couple of bikes for him is small feed. And I do it. I actually put the bike stand up here on a tarpaulin and I sit in my chair and do it.
Heather was not impressed.
But yeah, I don't mind putting myself out and doing what I can for people like that. Like, if you bear with me a minute, guys, I just want to, because I've been having a lot of issues today. I just want to check out the other cameras, make sure they're all working.
Yeah, Jen, he's recently retired, and his friend Heather printed out 96-page form for him so that he could claim pension credit. So he's very, very grateful at the moment.
Oh, why haven't you got? No, there we go. Good evening, Tony. Sorry about it, guys. I just wanted, because when I went to do today's video, none of my cameras would work. I don't know what was going on there, but after much waving of unplugging and plugging back in and waving leads about and turning the computer back on and off, or off and on, I managed to persuade them to work. And I was just checking that all three of them are working. I hate it when the computer has a mind of its own. But did any of you guys have a street party Monday? Or are planning to have one even?
Tomorrow?
Because don't forget, the proper VE day is tomorrow.
Year of duplicate celebrations.
I mean, I started to watch some of the excuse me, the proceedings on TV, but I got absolutely bored with it. But seeing Starmer trying to talk to Camilla, old chubby fingers missus, and she just totally fucking blanked him. That to me, that was the highlight. Him sat there on his own just behind her. You didn't do nothing, Stitch. Well, the thing is, I mean, in London, probably other cities as well, there was a lot of fucking Antifa about, still the pro-Palestine mob screaming and shouting in places. You know, they just can't leave us to have a day for ourselves. It's fucking ridiculous. And I did hear one story of the police shutting down a street party because it wasn't authorised. Well, as the residents said, it's our street. Everybody that lives here is here. And everybody said, let's put the tables out on the street. It's a dead end street. But police said, no, you can't do that. So they moved it into a couple of gardens. Yet, they turn a blind eye to the Muslims eating their meals after fasting, praying on the streets, blocking parks. In Birmingham's case, roasting fucking animals on the side of the road. That's all right, isn't it? Does that make me far right and a racist by saying that? Personally, I couldn't give a flying fuck. It was more like anyway. No, it everything we try to celebrate, Stitch, they ruin. Absolutely ruin. It's whether it's the British won't come out and face them, or very few stand up to them. But the thing is, you can't fight them one to one because they fight in packs. You can't debate with them because all they do is scream and shout. You can't identify them because they're always wearing that fucking tea towel around their heads. It's... Yet you walk around as a white man with a fucking mask on. You got to take your mask off so we can see who you are. Oh, fucking ass then.
Your answer should be, it's part of my religion.
Yeah. And what originally you? I'm a druid. Right, yeah, they're
I'm
definitely...
a Jedi, I identify as Darth Vader.
What was it I used to put? Jedi, druid, Buddhist, wasn't it? Oh.
If you're a Jedi and you identify as Darth Vader, you should be allowed to wear something covering your face all the time.
I am the Force. My breathing's about right sometimes, isn't it?
You weren't the only one. That didn't come out the way it was supposed to.
Stitch is an Ewok.
That's the right height for an Ewok.
But, there's one fucking council that are trying to bring in a law in their area where they're saying that preachers, Christian preachers, preaching on the street should be arrested and put in jail for 2 years. Well, how about going and getting their bastards to holler out through them PA systems and hollering on the streets, praying? Hey, and what about them? Nah, of course not. They're protected, aren't they? Jenny's Tinkerbell. Who's an emu? Is that an emo or an emu?
He's a moo.
Yeah, don't forget, you should be painting your lips black.
He's an emu. Yeah. He's a moo.
That camera keeps freezing and jumping. Fucking hell.
Don't use that one then.
No, it might be me moving too fast.
The Flash.
The Flash. At least it doesn't change when I do that now. Give it the howl.
You found out how to turn it off in the settings.
Yeah, I found the off switch.
His swearing is reduced by half. Fucking country fucking computer.
Yeah, I do get a bit angry
Stupid
with
fucking camera. You told me to buy
it.
this.
Did it again then. It sort of froze, then caught up with itself. So much for the expect. Well, it's more likely to be the computer, to be honest. And don't forget, from when is it? October, I think it is. Windows 10 will be unsupported.
Yeah, it still work though.
I know it'll still work, but and I certainly don't want to, because this computer won't support Windows 10. A lot of newer ones will, but this one won't.
No.
Good evening, Scar.
It is Windows 10.
Windows 11, I mean.
It won't accept Windows 11.
Yeah. So if Windows 10 ever did get absolutely turned off, then I'd have to think about...
turn 7 off first.
Well, I've still got 2 laptops upstairs that run on Windows 7.
Yeah, I know.
It's great, you know, if I want to retrieve any information off there, it takes me 5 times as long to get it off. But anyway, enough of me. How are you? Did you see that fellow who got his cash seized? Yeah, he had £1,000 in his pocket, didn't he, Steve? I mean, I know there's limits in the bank, but as far as I know, there's you know, unless they can prove he's drug dealing or something, then that's the excuse they'll use. Oh, you got a lot of money, so you must be selling drugs. You know,
We're going to buy some.
We're going to buy some, yeah. There was a chat a week or so ago, 2 weeks, where the bank wouldn't give him money to buy a motorbike for his son. I have my PC on Linux. Oh, I think mine's on spandex because it's just tight over what it wants to do, man. But yeah, you know, that's been going on in America. In America, the police are more likely to fucking steal your money when you've got that sort of money. I remember a video of a young black lad that got pulled up because, you know, you can still walk up to somebody and buy a house with cash over there. And he drew all his savings out. His grandmother had given him a few $1,000s and whatever. He was on his way to pay for the house. The police pulled him over, wouldn't accept what he told them. So it was something like about 40 grand that he had in cash. He had a letter to prove what he was doing, and it took him months and months and months to get it back in a court case. And when he did get it back, there was a bunch of it missing. No, it's not against the law, Jen. You know, and you look at it that way, any shopkeeper that's going to the bank with his dailies takings, and under what they said, they're breaking the law as well. You know, I mean, it is a bit silly carrying that amount of cash around with you in today's climate, I must admit. But
which is why a lot of businesses are saying they don't want cash, because it means some member of staff has to carry it to the bank, and there's every chance they're going to get robbed, beaten up, whatever.
Yeah. You know, it's the law is ridiculous. It really is. But they're going to try and force shops now to accept cash, even those that have gone digital only, because of what they saw happen in Spain and Portugal during their big power cut. Yeah, that's it, Scar. They make up the laws on the spot. They come up with the most ridiculous excuses. You know, you see them with the auditors. Someone stood there with a camera, and the first thing they say, well, what are you doing? They say, well, I'm flying a balloon, mate, you know. That it's the way they're trained, or not trained, as the case may be. And they've been like it for years. They'll just make things up. And this is why we always say film them. If any interaction with them, film them for your own evidence. On that as well, I did say it in a video the other day. Dan's okay, Pat. He's absolutely fine. But he's not on Facebook anymore. He got booted out and blocked. They won't give him a reason why. The usual just, oh, you broke community's guidelines. They won't even tell you what your post was. They just decided that we don't want you, you're gone, and there's fuck all you can do about it. unless you got millions and millions of pounds to fight them in court, which none of us have got, obviously.
Have you not?
I wish I fucking had. I'd be living in Poland where the immigrants are free.
Why an island?
Must be trained because you yeah, moo. I'm surprised YouTube let that stay up, actually. But there you go. But yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. You're absolutely right. You know, when your whole political party tells you you're wrong over things. Good evening, Stuart. The financial institutions tell you you're wrong. The predictions tell you you're wrong. The polls tell you you're wrong, but you still blunder on ahead. It just shows the sort of person he is. Yep, there's that as well, Scar. I mean, Gab, as you know, that went down a few weeks back, a couple of weeks back. Well, more than that. And apparently you used to be able to still log in with a VPN, which David Curtin, David Curtin from the Heritage Party, tried to do today. And lo and behold, if you want to log in with a VPN so you can still use Gab, you've got to buy the Pro version, because that's the only way you can get on it. It's American based, but they've withdrawn it all from the UK. Well, basically on Starmer's orders, because they getting threats from Ofcom, which we know were the digital arm of the government for surveillance information. And apparently what they did is Ofcom wanted all the details on all their members that used the platform, i.e. names, IP addresses, channels, emails, which the guy himself said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to give people's details away to you for you to persecute them and try and silence them. So he just shut down the UK arm of the platform. Good evening, Gordo. Welcome, mate. I mean, this happened with BitChute, didn't it? They got threatened. So again, they were withdrawing themselves from the UK, which is weird because it was a UK-based company. Last I heard, when I signed up, they were based in Andover. Or that's where the head office was anyway, up in over in Hampshire. But,
hello, Stuart. Hello, Gordo. Hello, everybody else I haven't said hello to.
But to be honest, I wouldn't be. Oh, it's just the VPN side of Gab, Gordo. Now, I wouldn't see. I can see the same thing happening with Facebook if they carry on. But YouTube probably won't withdraw because they're through Google. They're too heavily connected to the government, but it will be highly censored. Yeah, exactly, Scar. If you're a threat, if you don't bow to them, you don't follow what they tell you to do, what they want to do, you're automatically far right. And they're trying to brand the far right as radical. It's absolutely ridiculous. But things are changing. I mean, the EU, obviously run by that unelected Bint von der Leyen, there's a lot of EU countries turning against her now. and Starmer seems to have started to look elsewhere for trade deals. Although coming up is the next meeting with the EU and the leaders, and it's actually in this country, to see where they're going to go. But they want us to go back in the EU. That's obvious. But they want us to pay. That makes me no threat. Yeah, you're the angel, aren't you, Moo? But again, look at the corruption around the local elections. I mean, was it Stockport? Someone got caught taking the votes out of the local party's box and putting them in Labour, which forced a recount. Yeah, the only ones that get rich with the EU scar is Brussels. And I don't mean the Sprouts, although that's about as much sense as most of them have got. But as a sprout, I thought you was putting there that I'm such an innocent. Yeah, I'm far from innocent, mate.
You and Mo are about equidistant.
But
both a pair of scallies.
And I don't think the European Army's been mentioned for some time. I don't think they've given up on it, but I think they're waiting for Comrade Starmer to put it back in there so they can base it on our army. Well, we ain't got enough left for that anyway. But yeah, the bringing the Indians over here for work. We have got quite a few Pakistanis over here, as we know. We've had them for years, and Indians. But with the two at each other's throats, trying to put more of a war infraction on our streets and bring them into this country, just doesn't make sense to me. Well, it does, if you think of the fact that that's what he wants, is civil disturbances and civil uprisings. Because with what he's doing, that's what he's going to fucking get.
Mo, I've met you more than once. You're not an angel.
Think of it this way, Moo. Satan was an angel once.
He's just a naughty boy.
Yeah, Beelzebub was an angel. I used to make my own in them, Gordo. Temper them, bend them into shape and temper them. Yeah, Steve. The EU army, it won't happen. It won't happen. You think like the Polish, Italy has told them to go fuck themselves over it. They said they'll back it, but they won't give them any of their people. They won't send their soldiers. So what's the actual point of it, They keep provoking. Well, the EU doesn't do a lot of provoking over Putin, but the UK does. You could be right there, Jen. I can't remember the actual film. I remember the film, but a lot of the details from it, I can't. I've ordered a few spares, so yeah, I've had to order some new arms for me. My chair here, they're falling apart. And there's bits of foam everywhere. But it's £6 a pair. That ain't too bad.
6? I ordered the wrong ones.
EU and NATO have fallen to bits. Yeah, I mean, Trump threatened to pull out of NATO, didn't he? He said, what's the point of being in there? They're all a bunch of dicks over there in Europe. And as he openly said, if the UK do a deal with the EU, then the UK will end up with the same sort of tariffs that the EU are getting, maybe even higher. Excuse me. You know, Starmer seems to think this deal with India is going to save the economy. No, it ain't. Far from it. And the ones that could have offered the best in the way of deals and a little bit of a boost for the economy would have been America. You know, I know we've still got some through the Commonwealth countries. They're still dealing with Australia and that. I'm not too sure about New Zealand. But there's very few countries now want to do deals with us because they know they're going to get penalised by tariffs from Trump. I mean, China's the hardest hit, obviously. They've got empty ports. Apparently there's reports of empty boats turning up over in America that were supposed to bring in stuff. I don't know, you can't see what those big ones called though, because they're boat reels. But, you know, you think about, everybody was talking about the UN. Now, if you go and look at the UN statement on Indigenous people, I did put it up in a video. You know, it clearly states that anybody invading, anybody trying to change your culture, anybody trying to change your religions, persuading you to do their thing, not your own, is against the regulations. So they can't use the ECHR. They'll be using that to keep the people here. So why not use the UN regulations? Most European countries are in that. They're supposed to abide by that. But nobody seems to be arguing it from that angle. But, you know, we keep hearing they're going to make it here. I mean, the application thing where they've taken on these 300 people, it's already been proved that even if they get denied through the ECHR, they can give some silly bullshit excuse and they get to stay anyway. So, you know, to me, that's a waste of another 10 million a year.
Farage is going to lock them all up in London.
Well, that's what I said. Rebuild the wall of London, pen it up, and it's a giant penal city, isn't it? A bit like sending Snake Plissken.
They're the ones that say they should stay, so they can have them.
Exactly. I mean, you know, the people are leaving London in their droves, with that little dictator Khan there. He didn't look happy at the VE Day procession either, did he? He kept looking at his watch. You know, how quick can I get out of here? How long do I have to fucking stay? But to me, it just shows how treasonous and traitorous they are with what they've been doing, and then sitting there and celebrating that. You know, Starmer's a fake patriot. We know that. He's only started stating that he's a patriot since people been kicking up and coming up to VE Day to make himself look good, but he just makes himself look a bigger twat. And, you know, the clip of him serving tea at Downing Street, walked straight past all the white people and went to a black woman to offer her a cup of tea. You know, how come people like me don't get an invite to a fucking party up in Downing Street?
You wouldn't
out
go
on the fucking cobbles. Oh, I would, just to cause fucking mayhem.
Well, then that's why you don't get an invite.
No, he hasn't, Stitch. He's got no respect for this country, and he's got no respect for any English person in it. Absolutely, 100%. You know, He's proved that time and time again with everything he does. You know, freezing the pensioners so you can send money to a fucking war that's nothing to do with us. I thought it was Diane Abbott.
Her as well.
No, it wasn't Scargy. She's been there before. She's the head of some committee or something like that. And obviously the picked school kids, they probably picked a school, so send your kids along. You're supposed to have brake blocks in them for that, Gordo. Yeah, you can cast them to a certain extent. I used to use a big boat reel for congering from the shore. Big Abu 9000, would you believe? It was one of my sharking reels. But yeah, you know, Diane Abbott, she spoke out about him. Fair play to her. But there's a lot of Labour now. I think if he doesn't start doing some U-turns, which I don't think he will, because he's too arrogant for that.
You need to noose that now.
Yeah, you need a thumbie, Gordo. But use leather, don't use rubber, because that tends to melt into your skin. We use them for power casting, or used to get a bit of grip. But most of the reels I use have got magnetic brakes in them. So I can control the cast at any time. I can just do it one-handed, thumb off.
Okay, Tim.
Hey?
I said, okay, Tim. I can do it one-handed, thumb off.
It's different techniques, isn't it? Use a thumb stall if you're using fixed spool. Use a thumbie if you're a finger stall for fixed spool and a thumbie for multipliers. Yeah, mine's permanently burnt over the years.
I can't do anything.
Anyway, enough of me. What about you guys? What you all been up to?
Sorted the freezer out.
Well, yeah, you did.
Well, that's my highlight of the week.
Well, that's all right then. Keep doing it.
I'm not doing it again.
What we got up here? Yes, God, I missed that comment there. The Ukrainians. What the fuck? Right in the middle of the parade, you know, they look jackboots doing the goose step, looking flag dragging on the floor, looked like it was hanging on a broom handle. They just look shabby compared to everybody else that was there. And as I said in the video, you know, don't forget that the Ukraine was part of the Axis. You know, they backed Germany, they fought for Germany, they fought for the Nazis. All right, Jen, take it easy, sweetheart.
Night, Jen.
But yeah, they should never have been there. The Indians had more right to be there than the Ukrainians. Well, so did Pakistan, to be honest. You know, they both fought for us during the war.
And they were invited to come and live here.
Yeah. All right, Lofa. Yes, they did. You know, people seem to forget that the Russians actually helped us win as well. So technically, they could have invited them as well. Wouldn't that have been fun? But they've got their own victory celebrations. It's Friday, I believe they celebrate on the 9th. But their big military display that they normally have will probably be on a bit of a loop again, with the same ones coming round and round and round, because they've lost so many in the Ukraine, and they'll probably have a few fake rockets. But that's the other thing with fucking India and Pakistan. You know, they're both nuclear capable. You know, they're two countries that have got nuclear weapons. Well, that's the thing, Gordo. I know there's a lot of jobs that could be done around the house, so does Mrs. W, but on the other hand, she also knows at the moment I'm not capable of doing them. I mean, that's why our mate comes round to cut the lawn for us, because I did it last year, but I just can't do it now. I can't stay on my feet long enough to do it.
I let him move in because he said he was going to look after me when I got old and disabled. And now he's turned out I've got to look after him. It's not fair.
You'll be all right when we get the mobile wheelchairs. I can tune them. I'll be able to get one up the stairs, don't you worry.
A mobile scooter? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it'd be like motorcycle trials, wouldn't it? 10 points if I can get to the bedroom without hitting the walls. But 2 weeks ago, was it? I've still got bruises all up my fucking arm from the jabs. Well, not the jabs, but where they take them out.
Bloodletting.
Bloodletting, the vampires. Yeah, Sparky's a good mate of ours, Stitch, and to be honest, the mower he's got, although it don't pick the clippings up, it does cut it short. It's almost like scorched earth with his mower. It's a big one and it manages it, whereas the one I've got, it doesn't exactly work that well. It'll cut it, but and it is a bit heavy for me. It's self-propelled, but I still struggle. I mean, the bloody garden's only 20 metres long by probably 8-9 wide when you take the sheds into account. It's and it's just too much of a struggle. And needs a thermostat. Mind it. Well, I'd find most technology nowadays, Gordo, has got a mind of its own. You know, they keep calling it smart TV, smart washing machine, smart everything. To me, they don't seem that smart because I can just unplug them and fuck them off. You know, there's one guy, he won't buy any modern technology. He'd rather go and buy second-hand stuff that's still got dials on it. And you got pygmies living in there, Stitch. I mean, mine, this one here got that long at once, you know. I thought, right, okay, any time now you're going to see some grass huts appear. I never used to mind gardening, you know. I used to do it for a living, basically. But I just, at the moment, with my health, there's just nothing I can do.
But you moved there and decided you didn't want to do it anymore.
And I've had a big hassle today getting me new pills.
You've been on them for months.
Well, replacements. They sent me a big bag of them the other day for me repeat prescription, but they hadn't put those ones in, which are me blood pressure pills. The Ramapril. Reason being, oh no, it's got to be checked by a doctor before we can send you them. So after spending 2 days trying to get through to him on the fucking phone, I actually got through to him today. And I told the woman on the phone, I said, well, look, I said, go and get it authorised by a doctor. But also tell the doctor to put them on my normal repeat prescription list, because if I've got to go through all this every time just to get them, then I shan't bother. I should say, fuck it, I ain't got them, so I can't take them. You know, they can put them on there and then just take them off once they've deemed that I don't need them anymore. But at the moment, it seems as if I've got to stay on them. So, you know.
But you only saw the doctor a couple of days before
last
I
week.
asked for them, so they should have been there with a tick.
Yeah.
That I could have ordered them. Fucking practice.
Yeah, I was always told I was a smart ass as well, Moo. It gets called something else now, but
no, smart ass still applies.
Unless they're geared ones called, oh yeah, they are basic inside. My die was that the sloshes, they're geared and they take a little bit more work inside when you're servicing them. But you know, if you want the decent retrieve ratio, you got to have the gears.
Talking foreign languages again.
Yeah, I know. Gordo knows what I mean.
I know Gordo knows what you mean. I'm pointing out that nobody else. Well, there's one or two in there because I know Moo will know what you mean.
Yeah, I know. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Oh, pardon me. Definitely not at my best. Yeah, that picture, mind you, picture jumping like that might be StreamYard. But, oh, dear. I got my big bottle of cough shit there. Yeah, I know it's the vaping that does it, but hey ho. Oh,
You said you were only going to be on it a month.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, someone was on about some more taxes they want to bring in as well.
Wasn't it taxes on taxes?
Yeah, taxes on
VAT.
the taxi, VAT on the taxis. So that'll be the taxi fares going up, and it will put more out of business. How Uber's going to conduct themselves with that, I don't know. But in America, the Uber charges are absolutely astronomical. You know, they seem to have taken over the taxi sort of business, as it were, countrywide, and they're just putting the prices up willy-nilly. And most of them are immigrants that they've got over there that drive them. And there has been some quite nasty events between drivers and customers.
Oh, did you hear what Donna said about when Josh wanted a taxi back from Birmingham? Now, we live about 10, maximum 12 miles out of the city, depending on where they are in the city. And the one driver turned up. It was and wanted 45 quid to get him home. 45 quid for a 10-mile journey.
Well, think about it. When I had my fucking stroke, it was 20 quid then, just to get back, and that was cheap because he was on the spot.
That was the other side of Birmingham, darling. He was in Birmingham City Centre, which is closer.
Well, you look how much we paid for that one for Dan's night in Liverpool to get back to get the car. You know.
And?
Well, it's expensive for the distance. Going on with what you're talking about.
Wasn't 45 quid.
But no, it's just, you know, the cost of living. They said they were going to bring it down, and that's another thing that they failed miserably on, because literally everything is still going up. The best thing is just ignore them if they try and start a conversation, Stitch. You know, the only thing you want to hear from them is how much it costs if you haven't paid in advance through like Uber. You know, I mean, years ago, round the town back home, we knew the names of all the taxi drivers. You know, we knew them as friends.
I did as well because I worked for the local taxi company.
Good evening, Graham.
Stitch, what I like to do is when they're young and a bit flirty with my daughter or whoever else I'm with, I turn around and I play on them and go, yeah, no, fuck it. If you're going to flirt with anybody, you're going to flirt with me. They run.
I've got charge coming back from the concept. Yeah, it's, you know, even public transport. I mean, the trains are hellishly expensive now.
At the end of the day, you should be able to agree roughly, because nobody knows exactly what it's going to cost with time and mileage, but to agree roughly the charge on a taxi fare home before you start, so that you don't get to the other end and they double it.
Coventry, there's as many taxi drivers hard. Yeah.
Go on then, Graham.
Go on then, Graham. Put it up. Yeah, you're getting one in Coventry. I said, where will you be going today?
What was that, Welsh?
Yeah, whatever.
I'm sorry, babe. I take the pee. I know.
Go on then, Graham. Oh, no, there's lag, isn't there, between speaking and you hearing it?
Yes, there's a lag, so it'll take 15 seconds for him to hear it. Then he's got to type it, so you needn't bother waiting. You can carry on. There you go.
Okay,
You're leaving.
Give you a chance to get it out of your system.
Yes, I agree, Gordo. That's by far the safest way. But you can't always have somebody that you can rely on. I'm not going to collect my daughter from a concert or my grandson. I want to sit here and have a drink instead.
Stand by while I type the info. Yeah, carry on, Graham. Yeah, it depends on the distance as well, Gordo. They work it out on the GPS. You know, their GPS gives them a route when you book it, and that's how they can tell you roughly how much it's going to be. I believe in America they pay online when you book, which is me out because when I'm out, I don't do anything with my mobile phone other than calls and texts. It doesn't connect to the internet.
When we went out, Donna was trying to wanted to come back the other week. Donna was trying to get an Uber, and I just phoned the local company that's been going for years, and he said he'd take them as well when we got in. And between where we were and here, first drop off, I agreed the price with him and gave him the money.
Bearing in mind she works for... Yeah, see, this was a thing, Gordo. It used to be get a taxi home so you're safe. But with some of these taxi drivers now, you're not safe in the fucking taxi. Yes, Graham, I did see that, was it yesterday or today, about how much the drivers get out to take and stuff.
But that's the same with any taxi company.
Yeah, it's the same as the waitresses in America. You know, they rely on the tips because the wages are so low.
In the good old days when I worked for the taxi company, they paid a fee. It was so much a month, regardless of how much they earned.
It might have been Tony's that I saw, Graham. I don't know whether he's on Facebook. It was on Facebook where I saw that. We very rarely use taxis.
I use Roger.
But
Roger
we
uses
don't.
me.
You finished? We don't need to because we both drive. If one of us can't, the other one will, you know. It's like if Heather's got a hospital appointment because there's no parking, then I'll drive her up there and vice versa with me. The doctor's surgery is probably not even half a mile round the corner. I used to walk there all the time, but now, you know, it would cost me £6 for a bloody taxi to go a few hundred yards. So I have to make all my appointments on the day that Heather doesn't work so she can take me round there. I nearly collapsed when I walked back last week. Yeah, bloody killed me. But there again, you know, we need a vehicle where we are because, except for the little corner shop, we need transport to get to anywhere, to the shops. No buses. We actually need to walk up to the town, which is where the nearest bus stop is. And in the cities, well, you can probably walk the distance quicker than a taxi can with the space the traffic. Yeah, I mean, if you use, I mean, you know, a lot of local taxi firms for stuff like that, Gordo, you can arrange for an account with them, or used to be able to, and you'd get a bit of a discount. But yeah, what butler? I mean, yeah, we were running 2 cars, but there was no need once I'd stopped work. There was no need for me to have a car on the road. We still got a second car out there. I mean, all it needed would be a good power wash and an MOT, which it would fly through. Probably needs a new battery by now, but you know, if we needed one, it's not too much of a ball ache to put an extra car on the road, but it's an unnecessary expense. Oh, you have got quite a good bus service round here, Gordo, but what it's in the city, what it's like in the city, I don't know. Bless you.
Sorry, excuse me.
I mean, I haven't been into the city for a number of years now, other than hospital. I used to, when I was on the maintenance work at the building where Heather worked, the grade 2 listed building, I used to leave a load of my tools there and I'd go in with her in the morning. And when I'd had enough, which was usually around dinner time, I'd get the bus home, and it used to be something silly like about £2, £2.20. Yeah, you know, at my age, yeah, we're not far off bus passes. But what's the point of a bus pass when we can't even get to the fucking bus stop? Yeah. It's got worse since you lived here.
Oh,
good grief.
I'm sorry.
At least you're not getting... Yeah, I see that, Graham. They're going to charge people for parking on their own fucking land, their own driveway. That's just absolutely ridiculous. I'd fight that all the way.
I only make it louder when I try and make it quieter.
And there's lots of areas in London as well he wants to pedestrianise, which it'll kill the city. It'll kill those streets. Mind you, they're full of fucking people knelt on mats praying anyway now most of the time, aren't they? So you can't get around anywhere. Bristol's trying again with the low traffic neighbourhoods, putting these big fucking flower tubs everywhere. And they tried that in Oxford some time ago and people were just destroying them. Buses get lonely, so they come two at a time. I mean, the ones I used to use, I used them to go backwards and forwards to college because the college I was attending was right in the middle of the city. But again, that was a few years ago. I don't go into the city now. I don't like cities. Yeah, exactly, Graham. London is totally lost. Birmingham's on the way there. He's the true rep. No, definitely not loafer. Gangsters are the wrong colour. Yeah, we got them here, Gordo. It puts the time up of the next arrival and how long it's going to be. And we have got a bus stop literally across the road here, but it's not a bus route anymore. So we don't get them. I suppose we could jump on the school buses, but I'd only be accused of being a pervert then. I've never liked the cities. But, it's Khan's still pushing for the 15-minute cities in London. Yeah, it is, Graham. Two-legged and four-legged ones. But they, with the feelings and the feedback I get up here, once they do have the local elections, Labour could well be turfed out, same as they have in a lot of areas now. Because it's Labour Council Birmingham, that's why it's in such a fucking mess. It's down in Cornwall, Gordo. The buses used to stop just so the driver could have a chat with somebody. Don't want to go anywhere. Just wanted a chat. If you're within a quarter of a mile of a bus stop down in Cornwall, they want to pick you up. You missed typing again, Graham.
What? I didn't have a very good night last night. Bloody cramps in my legs again, in my neck. I still haven't heard anything about any physio on my neck and my spine, but yeah, well, the thing is, Scott, they got all this artwork. They've got over £450 million worth of artwork. They could quite easily show some of that off. But some of it they can't, obviously, because it was donated and they're not allowed to sell off if it was donated. But they've caused their own problems. They fought a court case that they knew they were never going to win, appealing over the compensation that time. And that's effectively what was bankrupting them. And, they're causing more problems by trying to save the money by cutting down on the wages on the bin men. Some of the poor bastards with the new ways of working would be losing $8,000 a year off their wages. And then they expect them to go and do the same bloody work. You can't have it all ways.
But, you know, again, that's another thing that Labour were always supported by the unions. And you look around the country now and the unions are actually turning on Labour. So not only will Labour be losing MPs and seats, they'll also be losing money as well. You know? I mean, there was one, I can't remember where the town was, but it was one of these little rural towns. And when the guy looked up the high street, I think there was 14 Turkish barbers on the one street.
You want to go to Erdington?
Yeah, the trouble is, Sky, it's always been the way. If the councils don't spend their budget and what they're allocated, they get that amount docked the following year. But what the government are doing now is say, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, or we won't fund you on certain other things. I mean, we haven't got that many barbers up here. We've got more bloody coffee shops than anything.
You want to go to Erdington?
No, it's too close to the city. Thank you.
Apparently that's all barbers now.
Luckily enough, we haven't got, in our particular area, too many ethnic ghettos. You got the ones that live here. Most of them are pretty good. You know, you haven't got estates full of them roaming around. You got that further towards the city, but with places like Erdington and Aston, yeah.
Newtown.
Well, you know the areas. I
I
don't.
was going to say you don't even know where Newtown is.
No. But then, a few mile up the road here, we got Little Aston, which is the posh area.
Got
You know,
private roads,
they
private estates.
They vet you before they even let you buy a house there. You know, all the streets are gated communities. Where they wouldn't even. There was a lottery winner wanted to buy a house there, and they said no.
Yeah, but do you know why?
Because they didn't want the tone of the place being brought down.
They'd already had one lottery winner moving on
Yeah,
Roman
that's
Road.
what I said. Vaping. Well, the vaping shops will be done away with soon if the government have their way anyway. They want to stop everybody vaping now. They're trying to stop them smoking as well. We haven't actually got a butcher's in the town here, Stitch. So, you know, you have to travel slightly out to get to a decent butcher's. The cut peas have taken out another course centre. You're seeing more replies on my phone than on your stream. I don't know how that's happening, Graham.
He's got one on live chat and one on top chat. Graham, you should know that by now.
No, you'd see less on top chat.
I said one is on live chat and one is on top chat.
We have 4 butchers all gone. To be honest, Gordo, I can't even remember seeing one up in the town here when I moved up here. There might have been one further up the road.
No, there wasn't. We lost our butcher a long time ago, like the greengrocer.
Back home, there used to be, I think it was, you had the big one, Dewhurst. And then there was a couple of little independent sort of family-run ones, and that's the ones we used to use. But most of ours used to come straight from the farm anyway. You know, if the old fella up there decided he was going to slaughter a cow or a sheep or whatever, he'd have the guys in, they'd slaughter it, and he had one of his own guys there to cut it up. But, you know, there was none of this, oh, you've got to go through this check and that check and everything before you can sell the fucking meat. Yeah, we've got one vape shop, I think it is, up in the town, or we did have. Oh, you're on the smart TV as well, are you, Graham? Fair enough.
Yeah. Unfortunately, YouTube defaults to top chat. So on the telly, if you've got no way of changing it, then you're stuck with it.
That's what he just said. He can't change the settings.
Yeah, I know. I can read.
Yeah, and funny enough, Gordo, you saying that down in Newquay, one that's a very good friend of both of ours now, Panda, he used to work in the local fishmongers. And I had another one bloke called Daisy, of all names. He was worked in the local butchers. But again, I haven't been to Newquay for years now. Most of my mates have moved out of the town, got married, got kids. And it's been rebuilt. The town has been rebuilt. It's not a little seaside town anymore. It's full of big glass fronted hotels, and the sewerage system still gets overwhelmed apparently. Yeah, as I said earlier on, Graham, I've been having trouble with my tech as well today. Camera's not working, and it always seems to be on a fucking Wednesday when I'm about to do a live stream that the problems start. We got to replace our telly anyway. It's got like the burn marks across the screen now. Then it keeps losing its connection to the internet. But it'll be fine for upstairs. So we'll put that one upstairs and get a new one down here. Get rid of the little one up there. Yeah, we've still got a few charity shops, Gordo, but most of those are shutting down. Poundland shut a little while back. Not Marks and Spencer's. What was the other big one, the big retailer up there that shut?
British Home Stores.
British Home Stores.
And Marks and Spencer's.
Marks and Spencer's, that was it.
You said not Marks and Spencer's.
They went into the stationery shop and post office, didn't they? But yeah, it's the high streets are dying.
Oh, the food department went into your Smiths.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. You know, little retailers, they're being forced out of business. Yeah, they have, Graham. There's a lot of YouTubers have been kicked off there. Yeah, Dan does get a bit close to the limit with some of the things he posts, but they've just totally kicked him out now, and he's openly said he's not going to go back in there. I do talk to him on Twitter since I've had that X or whatever it's fucking called now. But again, I keep my nose clean relatively on there. So I've never had any issues. Yeah, I've had a couple of suspensions off of face ache. Oh, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to post that. But it's the fact that you can't, you know, they want you to change what you post, but they won't tell you what you posted was wrong, so you can't change it, you know. They say, oh, don't do it again. Well, don't do what again? Tell me what I've fucking done in the first place. Oh, fucking back shaking. Oh, I've only got about another half hour to last. Yeah, there's quite a few of them have been selling on eBay for a while, Scar. I've bought a camera lens and one or two other bits and pieces in the past off them. I mean, literally I only had Face 8 to keep in touch and get back in touch with some of my old schoolmates and that and people back home. But then I started posting stuff and political stuff and memes. So eventually they will turn around and say, right, we've had enough of you. Robin Hood Dashcam was the one I know about. Responding reference. Yeah, okay, Graham. Yeah, he's been booted off of Facebook. And he openly said he won't be going back on it. So it does cut him off a bit where he is, not having total Wi-Fi. But hopefully it won't be too long before he actually gets a move down there. Because he's still looking after his mother, obviously. And hopefully he might start doing some lives and that again. They can't handle the truth. Exactly, Graham. They can't. They don't even know what the truth is. The only truths they know are what the government tell them to know. Anything else has got to be censored. Yeah, it is, Scargy. We were always told as kids, always tell the truth, no matter what you do. Even if you're in trouble, tell the truth. And now it gets, you say, it gets you into more trouble telling the truth. Because the truth now hurts people. Especially if you're a wokey, a minority, or member of the government. I mean, you know, look at the kick up about Farage. With the councils they took over, saying they won't fly anything, or they'll try and get it in, so they don't fly anything other than the Union flag and the George Cross over the buildings. Well, to be honest, I would change that a bit, because most cities, areas, whatever, they've got their traditional flag. You know, you got the white rose, the red rose, you know, every county got its own symbol. And those ones should be allowed, obviously. Yeah, I don't buy or sell on Facebook. Well, I don't even sell on eBay anymore. We do get the odd thing off of there if we need it. But,
You get some bargains if you know how to shop.
Oh, I'm getting a right pain in my back.
I thought you were going to say something else then.
Oh.
I'll give you a back rub later.
I know what it is. It's that fucking vape. It's killing me lungs. Yeah, but buying on Facebook Marketplace it's like a minefield, same as Temu. Invictus symbol in Kent, now under reform. Yeah, but I think looking at the polls now, if there was a general election tomorrow, reform would wipe the floor with a lot of them, to be honest. And I think you'd get more than a 30% turnout in most areas as well. Gosh, that actually looks like it's going to piss down out there.
It doesn't look really pleasant, does it?
Oh dear. But yeah, you got to be careful. Yeah, well, it's the same as everywhere, isn't it, Gordo? You got to be careful what you buy second hand. I see the police now are raiding car boot sales for the stolen power tools and shit again. You know, they did it last year. And I can remember when they used to turn up because it was all fake CDs and fake tapes and fake perfume. But now it's the stolen power tools. Join a baking class. Yeah, a lot of them. I think there was one out of 48% turnout, Graham. But the rest some were under 30% turnout, which, considering the state of the country, it just tells me that people aren't interested and they're happy to just sit back and accept what happens. They're the ones that deserve it. And it can't be just the money people. Yeah, the only reels I've bought in the last few years, Gordo, I've always been brand new from the shops. I ordered one off the internet.
You had one second hand from the aquarium?
Oh, it was only because the bloke didn't like it. But
took it home, decided you didn't want it and bought it back, still second hand.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly, Graham. You can't moan about it if you're not prepared to vote and try and do something about it. I mean, I never voted. My first vote was for Boris for Brexit. Last year, I voted Reform, and on the local elections the year before that, I voted. But that's 3 times in my life I've had a vote. But I'm going to make sure I have one every time now. Oh, Jesus, my back is bloody aching. I knew I was going to suffer tonight. My cakes, there's so much demand.
Just ignore Loafer. He's off on dirty mode.
No, it was never delivered properly, Graham. They come up with all these ideas. As I said, go across the channel, get your cheap fags. You can bring back as many as you want, your booze. And then they realised how much they were losing, so they put a stop to that. And they just made it harder and harder. You had the French shutting down the ports and protesting, and look at where it got us with the energy that we bought off them and still are. The prices were going up, and it just wasn't worth it. And now this fucking idiot's trying to take us back in, even though Europe's in more of a mess now than it was back then. I mean, you got to look at the tourist trade. You got to have all these extra payments and checks and visas just to get into Spain now. On your way in, you got to have your bloody picture taken with a facial recognition shit and give fingerprints and have a certain amount of money in your pocket. And then they still charge you extra taxes on your hotels. It's one of them things. What's the saying? It looks like a good deal, but it's not.
If it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Believe it or not, Loafer, Japan distills more whiskey than this country does anyway. It's very big over there. And Jack Daniels will get a lot more expensive in this country with the tariffs. Because that's something they can't distill under license. That all still comes from Lynchburg. The thing is, we can't be self-sufficient in this country. We haven't got the land. We always will need to buy and import for certain things. But it's getting more and more and more now. We're killing the farming. Well, fruit's been coming in and vegetables from places like Spain and Italy for many years. funny enough, a lot of beef that's eaten in this country does come from Australia and New Zealand, the same as the lamb. You know, bacon comes from Denmark. Is it Danish? Yeah.
That's too fucking expensive.
The food production industries are dying in this country the same as every other industry because they're killing it. We're becoming more and more reliant on every other country. This is, you know, the thing that I said with Ukraine. They use the grain as a leverage. Oh yeah, we're going to lose all these tons and tons of grain. Well, that's been happening since the war started, but we've never been short of grain here. We always seem to have bread and flour. You know, nobody's noticed any difference through the missing Ukrainian grain and corn. Obviously, America and Canada, that's a different matter. They produce huge amounts. Funny enough, so did Africa at one point, but I think the most ridiculous interview I've seen was over Ukraine and Russia. A gent was interviewed saying, "Well, you know, what do you think of Russia invading Ukraine?" And he kept, "Oh, well, we need new territories, we need new places to visit." Well, Russia has got more unused land than many countries. You know, they've only got a small area of Russia that's populated. Yeah, right, a lot of it's swamp and a lot of it's frozen. But other countries seem to manage with the cold and shit. Yeah, the farmers one is the land grab scar. But it's having the effect on doing away with producing our own food. I mean, they reckon there was something like about 2,000 a month farms shutting down. One old couple actually had theirs taken off them under a compulsory purchase. But, you know, with the taxes and the inheritance bollocks, they're just robbing people. And this is the thing, as Mrs. W says there, you know, people don't always look at labels to see where their food is coming from. All right, Graham, you take it easy, mate. Keep yourself safe.
No, Graham. I think I've said this before. At one point, I realised that the chicken in Iceland was coming from Poland. I stopped buying it. Why would I want to buy chicken from halfway around the world when it's not like they don't grow in this country?
Well, why do you think they wanted everybody to register their chickens? So they know exactly where they're coming from.
This was pre-chicken registry.
And, you know, the only reason I can surmise for that is because they didn't want people feeding themselves. They don't want people to be self-sufficient. You know, this is why they try to shut down all the off-grid living. I mean, they done it in America in many states. Yeah, it was all, yeah, always made in Hong Kong or Taiwan, wasn't it? And then it switched over to everything made in China. But, you know, you think about it, the Chinese had it perfect. Sell it cheap enough, build it cheap enough so it doesn't last that long. And because it's cheap enough, people will just buy a new one. It's that disposable economy.
But it's not good, I said it's cheaper.
And yeah, well, I just said that. And the Chinese built up a hell of an economy over it, supplying cheap goods that they knew would break down. They made them look like the better versions. Yeah, same with Poundland. You know, you go and buy something for £1, it's not going to last as long as something that costs £5. so they sell more. Yeah, take it easy, Graham. I mean, where do we go? Another 20 minutes or so anyway. I'm in fucking agony here.
Oh,
And I can't take painkillers because they react with all the other shit. Country of origin.
yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the usual sort of thing. You know, they move them around the country, move them around the world. It's just fucked up. All every direction. And you know, yeah, Trump's tariffs have upset a lot of people. But as he said, you know, what we're doing is forcing the fact that if you want it, we're going to have to start up a business and make it in America. Make it in America, sell it in America. The money stays in the American economy. Yes, it will be slow for a little while. But America's got the land. It's got the people. They can do that. Now, if we did that here, we'd be absolutely fucked because every fucking thing that produced what we would need, the government are forcing a shutdown. So we can't produce our own stuff. I mean, they're laying off a lot of people. I think it was up to 50% in some places on the gas production that we've still got. So that's more people. That's more drain on the economy because there ain't going to be jobs for them. So they're going to be claiming benefits. You know, and this is what they don't think of. They're putting all these people out of work. But all these people, if you're actually laid off, kicked out, made redundant, you can claim your benefits straight away. So, you know, it's just cut. And as many are saying, what Reeves is doing, she hasn't got a clue. She's trying to make money, but it's costing money. And it's costing more to do than what she's ever going to make. You know, the farmer's tax, it's going to cost them more implementing that and policing that than they're ever going to make off of it. And then you got people like Miliband and Lammy that are just a drain on the economy. You know, we're not getting anything back from Lammy for anything he does, yet he's quite happy spreading millions and millions of pounds around in other countries. And then Miliband, redhead, he's just off his fucking rocker, he is. Most of what he's doing there is going to lose money. And somebody worked out that if they turned off and shut down the wind power, it would actually cost over £90 billion to shut it down and get rid of what they got. Because don't forget, none of them bits and the wind farms and that are recyclable. Yeah. You starting one of them digital channels, Loafer. They've been putting on there for weeks that Starmer's resigned, this one's resigned, the old Ginger Growler's resigned. You know, all clickbait. Yep, YouTube still lets them post. It's total misinformation. Now, I got 2 bans for alleged misinformation. So how are these channels still going? You know? How are the mainstream media's channels still get allowed to be posting? Because they post total misinformation most of the time. At the very least, it's malinformation. Yeah, and they've started this again with the Labour. They're putting out exactly what they're doing, but they're twisting it with malinformation to try and make themselves look better. Well, unfortunately, people know the truth. People can see the truth because they know where to find it. But you try and shoot them down. But there's no mainstream reporters that will. You know, as I've said before, you know, if they don't answer the questions when you ask them, fuck them off. Get another guest in. Don't play up to them. Don't try and change the question to get them to force an answer. Just fuck them off. Well, you're not prepared to answer. No point you being here. You know, a bit like Starmer in the House. You know, they won't answer. But, you know, the more and more they lose, you know, it can't last. I don't think he'll last 5 years. The only way they'll last that 5-year term is if he puts things in place, puts the military on the streets, and literally locks everybody up that disagrees with him. And he can't do that because the prisons just haven't got the space anymore. Yep, that's a quote from 1984, isn't it, Loafer? Yep. Yeah, I remember that one. But that's what he's like, you know, when you're supposed to be working for the people, which he isn't, obviously. And the reason you have a political party is because they present to the leader what they think would be good, you know, and they're supposed to talk about it. Whereas him, it's no, I'm doing it this way, fuck off. You know, nobody's actually following him. Well, the front bench, obviously. And that is not the way you lead a country. So I say, you do right by the people will follow you. They will vote for you. And although the people have proved that is not the case now with Starmer, he's still ploughing on. I mean, anybody with any integrity would think, you know, okay, the people don't like what I'm doing. Let's change that. The people don't want me. Okay, step aside. But he's got none of it. He's got no integrity, no morals, not even compassion. I mean, look at what they're doing over the grooming gangs. You know, that is one of the biggest embarrassments to this country, as far as I know, there's ever been. And they've got to be balls deep in it. Otherwise, they wouldn't want to cover it all up. There's too many of their own people involved. Well, as well as Tories, but not as near as bad as Labour. You know, and shutting down the compensation for the victims of grooming gangs. Well, that's bang out of order. You know, there's still, I mean, Farage has said he wants to hold local inquiries and they'll do it lawfully when they start to take over. But anything those inquiries uncover is not eligible in court. No, it's not, Loafer. They know exactly what they're doing. They won't admit that they're working together to try and get reform, but in the local elections, it proved they can't do it, even when they do band together. Reform are trouncing them. You know, the Tories would have been better off going in with fucking reform. And at local level, they are. Kimmy Badenoch admitted that. Not at national and parliamentary level. There's no agreement, but at local level, it's up to the local councils. You know, if they want to take the Tories on board or Lib Dems or whoever, although Lib Dems are never in the running with that idiot Davey running them, but reform still come out on top. I mean, the Tories have had their day. They've had their go at it, and you know they lost as much as Labour did through the local elections. But it's not the change that Starmer wants. What reform want to do is the change that people want. Whether they'd be able to carry it out and do the things they're saying they want to do, that's another matter. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, Moo. I don't trust any politician, no matter what party they're in, because these people live in a different world to most of us. But, you know, the two biggest things at any next general election in this country will be the migrants, and it will be, believe it or not, I feel, energy prices. You know, yes, they're using the winter payments as a bit of a lever, but it's a very small lever, that one, compared to everything else. And the first thing they got to do is stop a lot of this foreign aid. Yes, they cut it down a little bit, but they need to drastically slash it. You know, why should we pay for a third world country to try and go to net zero when it's never going to happen? You know, that's up to them to pay. That's up to them to sort out themselves. It's fuck all to do with us. But they're actually paying some of the biggest polluters in the world. They're shifting production, India, China, the biggest polluters in the world. So what's the point in stirring it up in one country but not another? And the money that's been wasted on the Ukraine war, well, that should never have been spent. But there you go. That's just my opinion. Right, that's about 10 minutes short, people, but I am suffering here. So I'm gonna call that it. I think it's going to be another uncomfortable night. As you can see, I did cut down on the vaping a bit. But yeah, my lungs are becoming a bit of an issue now. So the vape's going to have to go. But anyway, guys, we'll leave it there for tonight. There definitely won't be a video tomorrow. I'm going to have myself a nice easy day. Try and chill and get a bit comfortable. I'll still be about on the internet, but I won't be doing a video. May do on Friday. We'll see what goes, you know. There may be a lot coming up that I feel like I've got to have a rant about. But thank you all for joining in tonight and joining myself and Mrs. W. Respectful as ever. Thank you very much, guys, for that. And I will always thank you for that. Looking at the state of some of the other live streams. You know, we've got a good little core community in the channel. And, oh, yeah, and this week we topped 3K subs. We've actually got 3,002 subs now. A lot more than the 500 I was happy with. But shame they don't all watch the videos, isn't it? But anyway, guys, until next time. That's good night from me.
Good night from me.
And as always, no matter what you do, where you go, stay safe, stay strong, and stay free. That's the important one.
Stay wicked.
Free. And stay wicked, as she says. All right, guys. Look after yourselves. Look after each other, because that's all we've got now. No one else is going to do it for us. Respects.
Until next week.